You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! What's up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 211. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter. Yes, I'm still calling it that. And I'm joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire, Roshan Warner, at Roro.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Hello. Good. As always. Also, we're joined by the DMZ Daddy, the Tarkov Teletubby, everything else you want to call him, Gage Dempster, at Gilbo Biggins.
Happy to be here.
Wow. Thank you. That was very enthusiastic how you did it. Christian is not joining us today, and we are very much thinking about you, Christian, and hoping everything turns out okay. Yes, we do miss you, as always. So yes, everyone think about Christian today.
We're always thinking about Christian.
Some stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Think about him a little bit harder, though.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sure he'd like that a little bit harder.
Oh, and with that beautiful image in your head, thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. Guys, the topic of the show this week is The Last of Us multiplayer on ice. But first, the show always starts with the quick bites, so let's go ahead and jump right in. The first item on our quick bites, guys, is, of course, some sad news here. Epic Games has announced that they are laying off 16%, or they already have laid off 16% of their employees, around 900 people. Some people were actually forgotten until the next day. I saw some people posting on Twitter that they thought they were good on Thursday, I think, and then Friday they found out that, whoops, Epic screwed up, and they were supposed to inform them that they were fired or laid off, and they didn't, so they found out the next day. Like, oh, that's awful. And associated with that, they also announced that they're increasing the price of their Fortnite V-Bucks, because those two things, I guess, had to happen both concurrently. Yeah.
Wait, Dan, you gotta put the reasoning in for why they're increasing the price of V-Bucks.
Oh, yes. The reasoning
naturally
is because of economic factors such as inflation and current fluctuations.
This is some PlayStation Plus price hike shit right here. What the heck?
We have to increase the price of our fake dollars that don't exist because of inflation. I cannot believe it.
Gosh, what is the exchange rate from
right
to Canadian dollars? I wonder. My God.
Holy crap!
And you know what? If they would have announced the V-Bucks prices were increasing and not announced 900 people losing their jobs, that might have been okay. But
might have stung a little less, yeah.
Yeah, put them together, and I'm just like, what the fuck? All right.
Yeah. Obviously, it's unfortunate that people have lost their jobs once again. I don't know if you have them all in here, but there was literally, like, I think maybe it was yesterday or so, where there was an account, Noble, on Twitter, where he's like, just back to back studios closing down, people getting laid off. It was crazy. It was like there was a specific day for laying off people. It was so weird.
Yes. And it is funny you say that, Ro, because Sega announced that they canceled Creative Assembly's Hyenas, which is also leading to more layoffs. In response to the lower profitability of the European region, we have reviewed the title portfolio of each development base in Europe, and the resulting action will be to cancel Hyenas and some unannounced titles under development. Sega continued, accordingly, we will implement a write-down of work in progress for titles under development. Also, there was a statement that said from Creative Assembly saying, we will implement a reduction of various fixed expenses at several group companies in relevant region centered on the Creative Assembly Ltd. So, of course, there's going to be layoffs involved, which is unfortunate because I think that they do a great job at that studio. And I posted on Twitter, fucking Phil, pick up the phone and fucking tell him to make Halo Wars 3 and fucking save these people's jobs and make another fucking Halo Wars game. How about that?
Sure.
But
I think today they came out to say that this was one of Sega's most expensive projects. So the fact that it got canceled is not good for like money wise. Not that like it's another conversation that if they did put it out, would it have made profit anyway? Like it kind of just looked kind of similar to a lot of the games that we're getting right now anyway. So whether it would have been successful or not is up for debate, but we'll never know. But yeah, either way you look at it, it's not good.
Which is totally fair. It does share a lot of similarities with some of the big players out there. But like, I wait. Well,
see, are you mixing it up with something else?
It looked cool. No, it looked cool. So
right,
yeah. So I feel like you know, I don't know. I'm a little.
You have
upset
this tangible sense that there was something really special there.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way that you could almost feel it for real life.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So yeah, I am a little disappointed that it was canceled, but in terms of that, but yeah, also layoffs. That sucks.
I heard, like jokes aside, I did hear from a lot of people that it had something there, that it felt really good to play. And to Rose's point, it's like, sure, that might not have made profit, but like surely if it was this far along, releasing it and making something you think would be better than just gutting it lines from the finish, like yards from the finish line. We don't know when the release date was, but
soon.
From what I understand, it was somewhat it was playable in a mostly complete way, right? So very strange decision. Very, very strange decision.
Indeed. Speaking of games that may or may not be canceled, PlayStation has hid the trailer for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake and has deleted the announcement tweet, causing people to believe that the game could be canceled. Obviously, when this was announced, I think a lot of people had a bit of trepidation because of the developer Aspyr, I think is the name. Aspyr, yeah. Not having a great track record, and now not looking good.
Not looking good.
I think there was like a journalist, I don't know if it was Tom Warner or somebody, so I'm not even going to try to remember, but it was some gaming journalist on Twitter reached out to PlayStation to ask why this was happening. And apparently PlayStation responded that they didn't have the rights to one of the musics in the trailer. But then if this game is still coming, you shouldn't lose the rights because the game should be on its way. You shouldn't just lose that.
Right.
But apparently that was one of the reasons. But either way you look at it, it's weird that you're losing the rights for a game that you're creating. So you're probably not creating it anymore if you're losing the rights to something that's supposed to be in the game. It was weird, but apparently they had a reason for it, but it was still a weird reason.
Yeah, because when you made that deal for the rights to that music, did you make it for like 12 months and that's
it?
And you did it a year ago and now it's like, why would you? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Interesting. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But
hopefully
we'll find out, just like Counter-Strike players were finding out that Counter-Strike 2 has replaced Counter-Strike Global Offensive on Steam, and some fans are a little upset. I know the gist of this story. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the gist of the story is there's a lot of modes and maps that were not put into the playlists that were traditionally there for Counter-Strike Go. So that made some people upset. Very fair criticisms. I think it is a tricky position for Valve to be in, because if you keep Counter-Strike Go live and have this as its own thing, you're basically taking your audience and splitting it in two.
Right.
And especially when this is literally just supposed to be a facelift. However, I don't think that they should have released this game if it didn't have all of the content completeness of Go. So maybe they should have waited a bit. Like, I don't know.
I think that's entirely fair. If you're like, I understand why they did the replace method, because this is, like you said, this is just supposed to be a facelift. There's lots of cool things that they're doing in Source Engine that are really, really cool. But separate from that, again, understand why you would do a replacement. I don't have an issue with that on its own. No big deal. But it was also a choice to make that switch happen whilst not having all the content done for that first game. So, like, yeah, I don't know. At first, I was kind of like more on Valve's side when I started seeing the hubbub about this kind of breakout, and I was like, I don't really think it's. But then when you think about it, it's like, yeah, well, it was your choice to do it this way, so you probably should have made sure that you had all the content. Now, this also, I am not a Counter-Strike player, even a little bit, and I'm probably never going to touch that game. It's just not my cup of not my cup of tea at all. Search and Destroy is my least favorite game mode in Call of Duty, and that's pretty much all Counter-Strike is. So, I don't know. Are these maps that weren't played and they had data to suggest that, and that it's not worth bringing these? Like, this is the thing where it's like the intricacies of this controversy I don't know that well, because like nowadays I'm suspicious. I'm like, is this people just looking for an excuse to bitch about something? Are these maps that were like voted no every single time they came up? I don't know. But on Valve's end, yeah, you probably should have just made sure you had all the content ready to go to avoid this kind of thing.
Yeah. And as a little precursor to games we're playing, I did see in the chats when I was playing, like some people were posting in the chats like, why is this not here? Like there was people like vocally saying that in game. So there are some, I would call that legitimate people criticizing. People online, obviously, you just never know what you're getting there.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Ed Boon has teased all kinds of horror icons possibly coming for Mortal Kombat 1. He tweeted an image, and it's the villains who have a green question mark plonked on top who we're most interested in. Michael Myers, Pinhead, Chucky, Jigsaw, and Ghostface are all teased here by Boon, and the Mortal Kombat community is responding as you would expect. So, possibly getting all these characters. He has check marks on the ones that we've already gotten, like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees, I think that's his name. Something like that.
Yep.
Etc. So, interesting.
Are these not all horror icons that have been in previous Mortal Kombat games?
No, these have never been.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Which I almost feel like he's doing this, which, not to make it sound so negative, but I almost feel like he's doing this to try to get the conversation away from the fucking Switch version of the game that's been like leading the headlines, which is fair.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Horror game characters would fit perfectly. I mean, horror movie characters would fit perfectly in such a gory game like Mortal Kombat, so that would be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Crazy ass shit is going to happen with this fucking fatalities.
The Predator would be cool, just for that reason alone.
I think Predator has come, actually, in a previous game. Yeah. I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
I mean, that's like a a home run just teed up for you right there to bring that character's designed for just being an absolute menace.
That sounds right.
Yeah. What if Wolverine was from space and also had a laser turret on his shoulder and also could self-destruct and go invisible? That's like, it's ridiculous.
Perfect.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll take 2.
Mortal Kombat X has Predator.
There
you go. All right, moving on. Guys, is Rockstar teasing Grand Theft Auto 6 in a brand new promo for the upcoming Moon Festival event for GTA Online? I promise that's not a sponsored post. Like, I'm not reading that for that. But apparently some fans are coming up with some fucking just whack job theories here, and they go deep into it here. Like, it gets fucking deep. So they posted an image of 2 GTA Online characters in front of the Hollywood sign, I believe, and they cut it to where it looks like you only see the VI, which is obviously Roman numeral for 6. But
well,
then,
hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on.
Yeah,
to be fair, just for the context of the story, when you say they cut it, you're talking. It's the official. This wasn't recut by fans. This is
right.
How Rockstar put
Correct.
it out. Yes.
Yeah. That part, the 6th
I think it's
part,
cheeky. I think it's a little cheeky.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yes. But this fucking fan theory really gets into the weeds here. So this dude says, "Hear me out. The moon in the VIT's tweet from Rockstar Games is a waning Gibo at tilde 85%. The moon enters that phase again on Monday, October 2nd, 2023, and then again on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. Could this latest tweet not only tease 6, but point to the next big announcement?"
Wow.
Probably not.
Probably not, but could you imagine if
That'd
it
be
was?
insane.
So that's kind of what's exciting about this. If November 1st comes, and even if it's something as simple as like another post with like a VI somewhere in the background, and it's like, okay, maybe they're onto something. Maybe they are taking it this serious. I don't know, but like, yeah, if November 1st comes and goes, I don't know. I have a sinking suspicion that we'll get an official announcement before then, but I don't know.
That VI thing is definitely
100%
no thing though. Yeah.
So also someone else posted that all Red Dead and GTA games have been announced on Tuesdays, especially October. So they said Tuesdays. I think they were expecting it to happen on the. Well, no, that's the 3rd. So it would be. Somebody said it was going to be revealed on the 3rd. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. Obviously,
No.
we're on the 4th, and it hasn't been announced. So, yeah, I don't know. Just some crazy theories, you know. I do think the VI was in tongue in cheek or whatever. I agree with you
for sure. But even that, like, that could just be like the marketing person thinking that this would be fun, and they have no idea when 6 is being announced. You know what I mean? Like, that's not even a 1-to-1. But like that, absolutely. I just think it was fair to point out. Like, I feel like that was 100% done on purpose. Yeah. Now, whether or not that means anything is a whole other story. But
yeah, absolutely. All right. Moving on, bro. I know you're gonna be fucking with me on this, but I'm sure Gage didn't watch it. Him and Christian, I'm sure, would be on the same page of not watching it. But there is a new CG trailer for Spiderman 2, and it is fucking fire. I can't remember what I was watching. I was watching a sports game when this trailer went live, and I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Is that a fucking new trailer? Like, I was so fucking excited when that came on. It was awesome trailer, bro.
It was really good. The transitions that they had throughout the whole thing with like the punching that Miles did, like he was sitting on his bed, then he charges up and it just goes straight back to the fight, and then the pulling on of the mask between Peter and Miles, like it was all really cool. And of course the ending where they both in unison say, "I am Spider-Man." Cheesy as hell, but it worked. It was awesome. And there's something about superheroes fighting in the daytime in a public setting that I just really love, even with Batman. I know like people didn't like that with like Batman, the Bane one, where he's like out in the daytime and he looks kind of goofy. I love it. I just love it when a superhero is just out and about in the daytime for some reason, and them fighting Venom in the afternoon is just like so cool. So cool.
You know what I think it is? I think it's like a subconscious trick that they play where it's like the stakes are higher because the superhero isn't trying to, hide or do things without freaking out the public. Whenever, like, I'm the same way too. For some reason, I subconsciously think that the ante is up whenever they're fighting in public in broad daylight. No, that's totally a thing. It's totally
complete. Like even in public at nighttime, it doesn't hit as good as public in daytime for some reason. I don't know why.
Yep.
Just weird. But yeah, I think your reasoning is exactly why. Yeah, it's a great trailer. I can't wait. So excited.
Yes. I cannot wait to fucking be even further behind on backlog.
Did you guys see the start screen that came out a couple weeks ago? That came out on. Yeah, it gave me vibes of Miles Morales, where when you press start, it goes like seamlessly into a cutscene. So I'm like thinking, oh, is that how we're starting the game? which is really
Kinda
cool.
like
Sony
God of
seems
War,
to be,
right?
Sony Studios seem to be. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that seems to be the trend at Sony Studios, and it's nice, it's clean, it's fresh. I like it.
Yep. I think Halo Infinite did that too, right? They were
On the first startup, did it? It might have.
I believe. Oh, it has
No, it
seamless
didn't, 'cause it was
transitions
a-
between cutscenes, not start
Yeah.
screen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to something that isn't as bright. You know, like in the daylight.
Oh.
The Xbox Series S version of Alan Wake 2 has been announced to not have performance mode. So it seems as though this game might have already had permission from Xbox to pretty much not have parity with Series X, which is interesting that Baldur's Gate kind of had to go at the 11th hour to get that. But yeah, no performance mode for Series S owners for Alan Wake 2.
Rip.
All right. Moving to a brand new game called Hystera that was announced. It's a just announced free-to-play multiplayer FPS with a unique hook, a space-time anomaly, randomly transforming different sections of the map, and instantly making players constantly adapt to new map conditions on the fly. This sounds interesting. I watched the trailer and like the idea fascinates me. I like that kind of stuff. I think it'll be interesting to see how it works in practice, I guess, like with the map transforming around you and such. Because I think it presents challenges for a competitive game to make elements where it's changing the map, changes the flow, and changes what's going on in the map, like on a moment-to-moment basis. So I think it'll be interesting to see like how this game plays. But I don't know. Have to see, I guess.
Yeah, I think the idea sounds pretty cool. Like having the map change, like you were saying, like the idea of cover basically just disappearing while you're hiding behind it, kind of sounds like it could be rage-inducing, but also challenging in a cool way. So yeah, hopefully it's a good concept in practice. I agree.
Indeed. Gage, are you gonna transform
And roll out? I
And
just
roll.
might. I just might.
Bring us a Transformers game again. Fucking damn it, those games are good. From High Moon Studios.
Way better than anyone thought those games were gonna be.
Absolutely. All right, moving to our last quick bite. Modern Warfare 3 got its multiplayer reveal trailer, and it is showing off the 16 iconic maps modernized for fast-paced combat. And you can tune in to Call of Duty Next on October 5th, which is tomorrow, for the premiere of the live gameplay. This is, again, not a promotion. I'm just reading what they wrote here.
Right.
But
it's
no.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy how strong of a drug nostalgia can be, because I was like, all right, let's watch this stupid trailer, and then as soon as Eminem hits, I was like, all right, this kind of slaps. This is kind of going hard a little bit.
Well, now wait, which one was better, Eminem's iteration of the trailer or my iteration of Eminem?
100% Eminem's trailer. I would like to never hear your iteration again. That was almost against terms of service. How bad that was.
Damn.
Although I would like to say, it seems like we are finally at that era where we're gonna have to pour one out for people like me who love our milsim launch period that we usually get with Call of Duty games. It seems to be not the case, because this trailer, they're showing all kinds of wacky skins and all that stuff right in the launch trailer. Usually when Call of Duty launches, it's right around season 2, so like 3 months in, they start adding all the Nicki Minaj's and all the crazy nonsense. Usually you get a nice good buffer at launch of like, oh cool, it's just operators from the campaign, it's just realistic looking things. And so for all my fellow milsim enjoyers, it's going to be a rough one this year.
Which
You're
I guess
gonna get shiny, golden, diamond-plated characters from the get-go.
Which I guess for good and bad, those characters are imported from MW2 into 3, so that.
And I'm hoping that's the reason why, with this weird sort of like continuation thing that they're doing. Maybe that's the case, because like if if the next Call of Duty game is really going to be the Gulf War, I would imagine that they're probably going to have that buffer period again. It's going to be weird to have a conflict that's so soon in modern history, and you're just seeing like ASAP Rocky run around in the middle of Fallujah, and while there's war crimes going. I don't know.
Totally normal.
I don't know.
Now, guys, don't forget that, Jim Ryan was testifying that, fucking hate fucking all these exclusives that, Xbox is going to make Activision games exclusive. Wait a minute, Jim. What are we doing over here? Because we got a fucking exclusive. Unlock your first look at our PlayStation exclusive MW3 operator. We got an exclusive operator. Oh, by the way, also make sure you play the exclusive beta that's happening this weekend only on PlayStation. Forget about that one, Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Retire already, Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Anywho. I thought that would be funnier, but it wasn't very funny. I'll work on it.
You know what's funny? You know what is funny though, Dan?
What?
I found this out recently. I'm guessing it'll work the same in Modern Warfare 3, but in Modern Warfare 2, PlayStation also has this exclusive console operator. He's kind of sick. He's like a samurai like outfit kind of on, but it's mixed with like modern gear. To everyone else who's not on PlayStation, you are just rocking the default skin, like as if you haven't selected any skin ever. I think that's hilarious. I think that's absolutely hilarious that all the people that are like, cool, I got my PlayStation exclusive skin. Well, everybody else, you just look like somebody rocking the default skin. So I think that's I like that.
You got to pay more money to get that cooler skin,
Sure.
$1 million. All right, moving in to the PXN news of the week, gents. MetaQuest 3 had a little event last week. We got some more information. We got a release date, which is October 10th. We got some details to go along with that as well, which essentially the new headset is featuring a 40% slimmer visor and a new Snapdragon chipset to power its virtual reality and mixed reality experiences, which the mixed reality portion is new for this headset. The Quest 2 doesn't have that. And also they redesigned the controllers to be more like their more premium controller, just like a stripped back version. Yeah, pre-order your MetaQuest 3 if you want it. I guess it comes out next week. Came out quick.
Great.
This might be something that I end up buying, and just like the Quest 2, I end up using it for all of maybe 30 hours and then putting it in the box.
See, and that's why I don't think I'm going to get it, because I'll just keep using the Quest 2, because games are going to continue coming to the Quest 2. I'll keep using the Quest 2 and wait for probably the next one, because this one seems like a decent upgrade, but not like, a huge upgrade. I don't know.
It doesn't seem like an all-around upgrade. Like, they talked about performance and ergonomics, which are both great things to upgrade.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they were suspiciously quiet about was battery life, in which case I'm like, okay, well, this might be able to run the games at a higher fidelity, and that'll look cool. But if I'm still only putting on the headset and only able to play it for an hour and a half, then to me, that's not worth a huge upgrade. And I would love to see them come out being like, oh, this is 4 hours, 5 hours screen on time. But they didn't say anything about that, which makes me think that it's going to be very similar to Quest 2.
It is, yes. It's the same battery life as Quest 2. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's going to be a no for me. Unless maybe they come up with like a first-party battery and something or other. I don't know.
Which they do have that. They have that for the Quest 2 and 3. I have that one. It's like an attachment.
It clips onto the back, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, it's a more comfortable head mount, in my opinion, than the stock one. Like, I did not like the stock one when I first got mine, and then I got the battery attachment, and it's a separate like whole contraption that goes on your head, and it's way more comfortable. So. Also, they did announce as well that MetaQuest 3 is also getting Xbox Cloud streaming. So you'll be able to stream Xbox games on a virtual TV in front of you. Why? I don't quite know. I don't think that's how I want to play my Xbox games, on a virtual TV. Thank you.
Why play your game on a real TV when you can play them on a pretend TV?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, Daniel.
Gonna go out to the fucking Alps and put a TV at the top of. All right. On to some Switch news. for the second PXN News of the Week item. Batman Arkham Trilogy for Nintendo Switch has its release date delayed to December. I guess they needed more time to get this baby rolling. It was supposed to come out October 13th. Seems pretty late to announce a delay when fucking next week is the third. Well, I guess a week from a couple days from now is the 13th. But hopefully they can get it in a decent state, I suppose. We also got Hitman Blood Money reprisal was just announced like a few minutes ago. Not literally, but exaggerating. Which is bringing the stealth game to more mobile platforms. Mobile's coming in the fall. Switch is coming later into winter. So that's
kind of cool.
It has 12 missions with a variety of different settings. Agent 47 will travel to places such as Paris and New Orleans as he executes his targets. Each mission has a sandbox for players to experience. Of course, every Hitman is like that. So you enjoy that as well. Sorry, wait a minute, Ro. I started talking. You were gonna say something about Batman, and I interrupted.
No, nothing
okay.
Really that specific. But it's just like obviously they're probably having trouble making Arkham Knight look good and all that stuff. But
yes,
that's just to be expected, I guess, when you're porting PS4 games to the Switch. I guess
that's very fair. Gage, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Is this a remaster of Blood Money? Or is this like a taking Blood Money levels and putting in a new engine? What is this?
It seems like it's a new game, does it not? Like
that's what I'm trying to, because he'll go to this location, he'll go to that location. I'm like, okay, but they're not saying that.
No,
it's like...
I think I projected that. I think. Never mind.
Okay.
Hitman Blood Money was first released in May of 2006. Yep, and then
that's fine though. I think that's what I was hoping that you were saying, that it is a remaster, in which case that might be a good chance for people that have never played the old games to play. Like that should run really good on Switch hardware, I think.
So, although an HD port was released in 2013 on PS3 and 360 as part of the Hitman HD trilogy, then in 2019 a 4K port launched for PS4 and Xbox One for Hitman HD Enhanced Collection. So I'm assuming this is coming from that second port. I'm imagining, but it doesn't say that specifically. So yeah, I don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
This is very fascinating, I thought. A bunch of games on Nintendo Switch got significant upgrades recently. And honestly, this story is kind of why, like, I think FSR is going to be a huge deal, which is their NVIDIA's super resolution feature where they can, like, improve performance and make higher resolution images without needing, faster graphics cards and such. What were you Gage? Or you?
FSR is AMD's super res.
Oh,
DLSS.
Wait, did I? Wait, why does it say No Man's Sky FSR 2 upgrade? I'm so confused.
It's strange because Switch architecture uses NVIDIA, but some of these games, depending on the API, I guess have. I don't know. I don't know why. It seems like they're. I don't know.
Oh, Yep, I completely fucked this up. Okay, why DLSS is a big deal is what I meant to say in my news story, but No Man's Sky specifically uses FSR 2,
right?
Because FSR can be used on NVIDIA or AMD, and whereas DLSS is only on NVIDIA hardware. Yeah, that's my fault. I fucked that up. But anywho, there were a bunch of upgrades that Digital Foundry went back and looked at some games that had a bunch of issues at launch on Switch, and very positive results that they came back with. Like No Man's Sky looks and performs significantly better than the launch version. They have a video that kind of details that as well. Outer Worlds is another one that literally one frame of the Outer Worlds is a sign that is supposed to have like text on it, and it's just like a fucking muddy, blurry disaster. And
man.
yeah, and they fixed it so that it actually looks really good and like
You can read it now.
yeah, exactly. And even like the character models, like when you're obviously that's a huge part of Outer Worlds is talking to people and the conversations, and like even that looks really good on the new version. So many props to them as well. GTA Definitive Editions had some upgrades as well. Alan Wake Remastered had some big upgrades as well. That in terms of like lighting, it seemed like it was significantly better. But yeah, all across the board, these are really great features, and I hope that this indicates some good things for DLSS, not necessarily FSR, for the new Switch, since they use NVIDIA hardware. That would be exciting.
Very exciting. And good for them for going back and actually
Yeah.
updating these things. I don't know. Some of like No Man's Sky I think is really impressive that they made it look better like that. Outer Worlds still doesn't look super great to me, but it's definitely an improvement to what it was before, no question. So I'm glad that they did do that for the people that are might be playing it.
Yes, and like Outer Worlds is those areas are pretty large, so
Huge,
obviously, yeah, it's not going to be as high quality. But yeah, you're right; it's not the prettiest thing in the world on Switch. But yeah, very cool. All right. So the last little piece here, Nintendo is saying that their games on Nintendo Switch are being worked on for 2025. Nintendo is expected to launch its next generation console possibly next year. But that doesn't mean they're going to stop making games. Well, I mean, no shit. Like, of course they're going to keep making Switch games for 2025. We're fucking in the year 2023 and we're still getting Xbox One and PS4 games. So,
yeah, I don't think any console in the history of ever has immediately stopped upon the launch of a new hardware. I don't think that's ever been a thing.
Yeah.
I heard a Wii U game came out a couple of days ago. Not a very popular one, obviously, but some random downloadable thing. Yeah.
Wow.
just in time too, because apparently those stores are going to be going down soon if they haven't already.
That's insane. Like what goes into that decision to let's release on the least popular fucking platform to ever release. Like what?
See if I could find it.
That's
probably won't be able to.
That's so wild to me. That makes no sense. Like, and the other thing is the Switch, obviously, like we're saying, is going to stick around for a long time because it's literally one of the most popular consoles of all time. Like, why would you walk away? Yeah, why would you walk away from game sales that you could have a shitload of game sales by continuing to release on that platform? Yeah, definitely ain't going away anytime soon.
I can't find the game, but the Wii U and 3DS shops are supposed to be closing next April 2024, which I think they talked about today.
Wow.
But yeah.
Are we thinking that 2024 sounds like a good year for Switch 2?
Yes.
What are we thinking?
Yeah. I think so. For release as well, or just
for
an
release as well?
Release as well.
I think so.
I think so too.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to remember how they did the Switch 1 release.
Are you thinking reveal in 2024, release in like March of 2025 type thing?
I think they reveal it early in 2017 and then it came out in like spring. Is that right?
Definitely.
I think there was a pretty short turnaround time because wasn't stuff like starting to leak and people were like, "Oh no, they're doing another handheld. They didn't learn their lesson." I could have sworn that the reveal and the release were pretty close together.
October of 2016, it was unveiled, and then it was released.
Came out of March next year, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so it could happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys could be onto something too. Like, well, I doubt they'll like announce the Switch 2 anytime this month.
Right.
But it's definitely possible that they could have that short month between themselves. But yeah, it could happen. I believe it.
Hell yeah. Reveal it in February, launch in July. Boom.
Hell yeah.
It would dominate. It would dominate if they did that.
Yeah.
They don't like to release hardware during the summer for some reason. Nobody does. But man, that would be the perfect time, especially for the Switch demographic.
Go on Jeff Keighley's show at Summer Game Fest and say, "Oh, by the way,
It's
Switch
out now. Yeah,
out now.
all
Switch
your little
2."
kitties that are off for the summer. Guess what? Like, I don't understand why they don't. That would be perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what else would be perfect? Our fantasy draft check.
Well, speak for yourself.
Well, I won't speak for myself first. I will speak for the man, the myth, the legend, Christian Macias, Saliva Gang PDX, and he has Cocoon that released, and I think that came to Game Pass as well, which is really good. 87 on OpenCritic for a cool 17 points for Mr. Christian. That is really good. Really good.
That's so good for him. That's good.
I don't know much about this game other than that it sounds like a really cool puzzle platformer. I told Gage that I really want to check it out, and of course it's in Game Pass, so I probably will. Hopefully, maybe find the time.
So many games.
Yeah,
it does look cool though.
Very cool.
It gave me. It's nothing like this game, but it gave me. I lost it, but it has this has a very similar art style and perspective to a game that I played on the Switch. I'm going to see if I could find it while we keep talking.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Our number 2 game in the check-in, Assassin's Creed Mirage, has released, and it is a 77 on OpenCritic, so that gives me a cool 7 points to add to my illustrious total.
Add to your pile of points that you already have. Yeah. Good.
Yes.
That gives me -7 if it stays at that, because I counterpicked it.
Honestly, that's not terrible though. That's not terrible.
I actually don't blame that. I think that's a good counterpick point, because that could have gone either way. And it seems like it was, based on reviews, it was pretty close, teetering the line.
And your options are kind of limited at this point, because
if I picked anything else, I would have lost more points.
Exactly.
So I was definitely trying to just hope that it did okay or bad.
Yeah. I think that's a good call, Ro. And Christian is screwed. So because he has one more counter pick and he hasn't picked it yet, and I don't know what he's gonna pick.
Maybe something will get delayed, or
yeah, that's true.
And the game that I was thinking about was Creature in the Well, by the way. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but it's very similar in art style and stuff. Sorry, Dan, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say he has to project that the game gets delayed, because after it gets delayed, he can't pick it. So we'll see. We'll see if he can do it. And then wait, did I already say Mirage? Yeah. Which people have been complimenting Mirage's return to the more stealth-based action, so that has been a positive. I also saw Ryan McCaffrey say it's a 10 to 17 hour campaign, which that excites the fuck out of me, because it's something I can actually fucking beat. So I'll be excited for that. And lastly, Forza Motorsport will be out, I believe, in a day or two as well. And that is sitting at an 84 on OpenCritic, which gives me a cool 14 points yet again. It is lower than I thought it would be. I think a lot of people were criticizing the RPG-ish elements that they've added. There was somebody online that said that I just needed to change my tire, and they made me fucking race like another race just to change my tire or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound fun. But in terms of the gameplay and the moment to moment stuff, it sounds like this is the best of the series, the best that the series has had. So at least that sounds like very promising. Of course, I'm on Gage's team when it comes to, I'm more leaning towards the arcadey style games, so I like Forza Horizon more than Motorsport, but I'll still check it out. It's in Game Pass, and I'm sure it'll be beautiful, of course. So got that going for us. I don't know. So that's where we're at with Fantasy Critic. Gage is sitting with 45 points and dead last.
Good.
Ro's taking up third place with 89 points, but he's still got games. Still got games to come. The big Spider-Man 2 out very soon.
Yes. Don't feel me now, Peter.
We've got Christian in second place right now with 130 points, but he's still got a lot of games to go as well. And I am currently in first place with 132. So I'm only 2 points ahead of Christian. But that does not include the points for Forza Motorsport or Assassin's Creed Mirage. Those haven't been added yet because they're not final. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. All right. Moving out of fantasy draft check-in into what you got for me. I have for you guys Payday 3. Of course, Gage knows this because we played last night. Payday 3, having a lot of fun with this game. A lot more fun with it than I had with Payday 2. That is for sure. It is a lot more polished. It actually feels pretty good to play in terms of the moment-to-moment gameplay. Some of the stuff is very interesting, how you can like kind of go about things different ways, and how it has different scenarios. Like we were looking for one moment last night, we needed the bank manager to be able to scan her to be able to access a certain area. Of course, we didn't end up getting her because we were sidetracked with doing 20 other things, and we got a message on the radio. They're like, the bank manager's leaving. You better get to them before they leave. And she left, and we didn't get to her. But, you know, we came away with a lot of goods, you know. We stole some gems and such, you know. I don't know. Also, I played Counter-Strike 2 when that dropped last week as well, as I alluded to before. And actually, I had some decent fun with it. I'm a very casual Counter-Strike player from back in the day. I played it occasionally. I think I had a total of like 13 or 14 hours of Go before this went live, so extremely casual. However, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it, and it looks a lot better, and definitely is a solid remaster, minus the stuff that, you know, fans are upset about missing modes and maps. That sucks for them. But yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. So.
Did you mess around with the smoke grenades?
I did, yeah. And it looks very good.
That's pretty cool technology. That's pretty cool technology.
It looks very good. So, Ro, you got anything for me? Or
I don't have anything for you. I was watching a lot of Twitch streams this week, watching other people play games.
That watching counts, right?
Sure. Living vicariously through them. I watched my friend Crossout Bryce play Sonic Frontiers. A new update came out this last week. So I got to live through him and experience that story. Apparently very challenging, which is really cool. Something that fans have wanted, but at the same time, not well designed. So a lot of people, like some parts are really cool. A lot of parts are just like frustrating and not challenging, and some parts are challenging, fun to overcome. But There's a really not great balance, apparently. I haven't played it myself. I'm just going off of what the community has been saying. But the general consensus is that it's a good... So with this update, they kind of rewrote the ending of Sonic Frontiers, and the general consensus, and based off of what I saw, it is a much better ending. It's more climactic. It's just super cool. So I thought that was really cool that they even did that. It would be nice if it was just like that in the beginning, but the fact that they
did a BioWare.
Yeah, it
was Mass Effect 3. Yeah,
I kind of liked it. It was cool that it got an alternate ending, and of course they're more playable characters now. And my girl Amy Rose seems to be the best that has come out of them. So I'm really happy that Amy's getting some love, and I'm excited to play as her when I do get the chance to play the update.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's kind of like a Fallout 3 approach as well, because Fallout 3 famously ends very abruptly and like doesn't leave room for DLC. In their first DLC, they had to like change the ending because of that. So that's very cool that they went back, changed the ending. Cool.
Sonic Frontiers has now 3 endings, because you play Sonic on normal, which I'm assuming most kids and people who didn't know would. It's just like it just ends, and it's like it's terrible like how it ends, and then the hard mode is like a little bit more better, which is how I played it, and then this new one, of course. So I'm glad that we got this official ending for everybody to enjoy.
Oh yeah. You also have a video, right? You released a new video last week.
I did, yes, and I'm working on a new one. The one that came out last week was about a manga, like they all are, but it's about a girl who likes to fight, and she's insane, and it was really good manga.
Oh
So,
yeah,
check that out. If you like manga.
Yeah.
killing it over there on the Roro YouTube.
Thank you.
All right, Gage, what you got for me?
Payday 3, which is, while I will agree with you, I'm having much more fun with it than I had with Payday 2, and it's definitely more polished. It is still not a polished experience. That game, you forgot to mention all the crazy jank.
Yes. And I was letting you to handle that.
Right. Okay. So like it's you know what's funny though? It's that it's almost like one of these.
Dude, we were laughing so much.
That's exactly it. It was janky to a consistent way. So like when in video games, there's jank where it's like you're failing and you're not knowing why you're failing and things are happening to you and it makes you frustrated. And then there's janky where like you can anticipate the jank. You're like, okay, I know for a fact this doesn't work right, and you kind of are able to move around it. And that's definitely what Payday 3 is. There's like moments where you and I are sitting there, both crouched down, stealing valuables from a safe, and a guard will walk by, and because he walks by a certain way, he just walks right past us and doesn't care. Secure doors that are being left open and guards just strolling on past, not my problem. That's out of my purview. Like, we were having a fantastic time, and that's the best way to describe Payday 3. It's definitely not a polished game by any means, but it's fun, and that's really what I'm looking for at this day and age. And I had a great time playing it.
Dude, that one we were standing literally right outside the fucking door, and the guard opens the door and he's staring right at us, and I'm like, fuck, we're fucked. And he just takes an immediate left turn and he fucking doesn't spot
Not my
us.
problem.
I'm just like, what
not my area. Not my problem.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my god. It was good fun. And of course you and I were playing the game however you want to call it that we were playing it. And then of course we decided to matchmake with some people who actually know how to play the game, which resulted in them in all caps typing in the chat for me to just stay outside and to sit and not do anything because I kept screwing the missions. And so they just went in there and like, yeah, it is cool. There seems to be somewhat of a skill ceiling for this game, and like of knowing where the spawns are and doing all that. So yeah, Payday 3 is a fun time. Aside from that, I've still been chipping away at the Crew Motorfest, which I'm still enjoying. And I feel like there's something else that I'm missing, but we'll leave it at that for now.
When you said those guys told you to stay outside, I thought it was like a reverse diss for a second, like unlike gamers like who always stay inside. I thought it was like, just go outside. Just,
right.
Like, just go back to your fun life and go hang out with your girlfriend or something.
No. It was the sit out here and stay, because they literally told me, Gilbo, sit, stay. And I was like, all right. I'll just stay outside the bank while you guys take care of everything.
Understandable.
Bro, those fucking people were like fucking master thieves. Like I'm convinced those people rob actual banks by how fucking efficiently they robbed these fake
they have
banks.
Experience.
Yeah,
they must.
It was incredible. All right, moving into our topic of the show, gentlemen, is The Last of Us multiplayer project on ice. So Naughty Dog's troubled The Last of Us multiplayer spinoff is reportedly on ice amid some layoffs. The Sony-owned studio, which is home to some 400 staff, is laying off at least 25 developers. Most of the people affected are quality assurance contractors who are seeing their contracts cut short. According to Kotaku, full-time staff are not affected, so there is a bright spot. Naughty Dog will reportedly not offer severance to laid-off staff, who Kotaku said are expected to work until the end of October. Wow, imagine that. Being told that you're being laid off, not getting severance, and being told to work until the end of October. That's interesting. According to the site, Naughty Dog staff are being pressured to keep the news quiet. The Last of Us multiplayer spinoff is, according to Kotaku, basically on ice, although it is not completely canceled. This tallies with a May report from Bloomberg, which said the quality and long-term viability of the much-anticipated multiplayer game had come into question, and as a result, a small group remains on the project while the company reevaluates the direction. We know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our Last of Us game, Naughty Dog said, whenever that report came out earlier this year, and said, we're incredibly proud of the job our studio has done thus far, but as development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Sounds like, from my perspective, it seems like this game is basically just being rebooted, and they're laying off all these people in order to prepare for downsizing, to make a small team yet again to basically rebuild this game, I guess. I don't know.
I'm just gonna put it out there. All right, a lot of these devs were quick to snap at people and say, let us cook when the report earlier this year came out suggesting that the game was in trouble. And this is what I mean, where it's like it's hard to just take people at their words for face value, because there was worry earlier this year that came out that this game is not doing well. And again, the immediate response from the people in the dev industry was just, stop, you don't know what you're talking about, let them cook. And it's like, okay, well, at what point are you allowed to assume that things are not going well? Because I mean, it seems like we must surely be at that point. I think we were at that point last time, but yeah,
no, for sure.
Don't worry, it's on ice. It's not canceled. This is not exactly confidence instilling verbiage,
right,
in my point of view.
I agree. It's super sad because both I think all of us are really looking forward to this because we loved Factions so much, and the fact that Naughty Dog is trying to make a standalone version of that, whatever that looks like, is super exciting. And I think we should let them cook, but obviously they cook too much and it's burning now, and they need to like add a different recipe and start all over, like
right.
Dan was saying.
This is awesome. But keep going.
the same analogy. I hope they get it back on track, but I mean, I was going to say not at the cost of developer, but it's already too late. They're already laying off people. So I don't know. I hope it comes out. I hope we do get to play it someday, but it's a shame that it's potentially on ice and maybe never will see the light of day.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, the other thing is like, even if this does come and see the light of day, like this game is gonna be fucking 6-7 years away probably at this point, if they're actually starting over at this point with a small team, and the majority of their teams working on their new IP / The Last of Us Part 3, whatever it ends up being. Like, this game is gonna be probably after Naughty Dog's next game, and maybe even after 2 more Naughty Dog games, if it takes a little bit longer. Like, yeah, it is disappointing. Like, that it's essentially gone for a long time now, and maybe gone for good, because you literally never know. In the video game industry, shit gets canceled all the time.
Here's my point that I was going to get at, is that, like, as a principal, I'm usually somebody who, I am somebody who, the developers, the game that they want to make is the game that they want to make. I don't think that they should, like, whenever the controversy comes up about difficulty in games or accessibility, as much as I think that those things are important, my final stance usually is, well, the artist has final say over their art. And that's, I think, is a generally pretty good rule. I'm comfortable with that opinion that I hold. I just can't help but feel that, like, if you are a studio, especially a studio of that caliber, that has that many fans, that has an IP that people care about this much, I can't help but wonder if you're deciding to take that IP outside of your comfort zone. Like, does it not benefit to have more communication with your audience to say this is how we're working. These are the systems that we've come up with. Like I can't help but feel like this situation maybe could have been avoided if we had seen some kind of like how we talk about, for better or for worse, who he is as a person is irrelevant. We talk about like the snapshots that Dr. Disrespect is doing with his game and how we're like, oh, this is really cool that fans are getting feedback this early in XYZ. I can't help but wonder, like, I don't know, like there's rumors that Bungie came in, saw what Naughty Dog was doing and said this isn't sustainable, but it's like, I don't know, is it? Like, if that game that it's working on, maybe it's not what Bungie wanted, but maybe it is something that Last of Us fans would have been happy with. And the only way we would have known that is if we would have seen the project by now in any sense of the word. Like, I can't help but feel that maybe this could have been avoided if they had done some sort of any type of communication. This is what the game is. This is what it's looking, because it might be something that people like, and it maybe doesn't have to fit into the current standard one size fits all live service format. Like, maybe it doesn't need to have PvP modes on top of PvE modes on top. Like, it could just be its own thing. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like some sort of communication and transparency would have been nice, because maybe the game that they had their mind set on would have been a game, and maybe the game that Bungie thought wasn't going to work is a game that Last of Us fans would have liked, and therefore they should have just went forward with. I don't know.
Do you guys think that, like, it's possible that Bungie saw the game that they were building and basically told PlayStation, I don't know how you monetize this game, because if it was being marketed as this big multiplayer game, obviously it would have some kind of monetization and probably be free to play. Like, do you think that Bungie goes to Sony and says, I have no idea how the fuck you monetize that, and that was the issue, like, with the game that they had?
That's where I'm leaning. Like, so I stop me if this is the next point on the dock, but like, Jim Ryan leaving, and after investing all this money into live service and all that stuff, like, I don't think that these two things might not be. I think these things might be connected, in that you are absolutely right on the mark, in that Jim Ryan has kind of said, okay, Naughty Dog, you can do this solo multiplayer experience, blah blah, but it's got to fit into this new portfolio that I'm pushing at PlayStation. And then he buys Bungie, and then all this stuff happens, and then Bungie goes and sees it, and exactly like you're saying, well, we can't put a battle pass in this, or we can't put, like, it doesn't fit into the MO. And then I don't know, there seems to be lots of turbulence now after that. I think you're totally right, and like, it's super upsetting, because when I think about it, and like, man, people still play the Last of Us factions to this day. Like, there's I am in the Last of Us subreddits, and watching people are posting clips, and I'm like, this game looks still smooth and fun to play to this day. But it's classic multiplayer. There isn't, weekly challenges and updates and battle passes and this and that. So that's what I'm saying, is that I'm worried that, like, maybe this Last of Us multiplayer, whatever it ended up being, the game itself was fine, but if Jim Ryan's priorities was, how do we turn this into an evolving XYZ yada yada fucking nonsense, and that was what was keeping it from being revealed, being released, from the team being confident about it, then that's bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, shit, I lost what I was going to say, but hopefully that comes back. But the people that are playing Last of Us factions still, I played it for a really long time, and I know we're talking about how they monetize this particular game that could have came out, the new factions. If they, like, I bought skins for that game all the time because I loved playing that game, and I loved seeing my character wear, like, the big hunter's hat or whatever else I could buy from the shop. Like, simple stuff like that, or I guess it doesn't make as much money as Destiny's item shop or Fortnite's shop and stuff like that. But there are other ways to monetize it that you don't have to follow these trends that are not working. All these companies are closing their studios, and their games are shutting down before they even come out. We just talked about Hyenas today. So, like, if Bungie was saying stuff like, oh, this is not going to work for you because this is how it worked for us and you're not doing it, like Gage was saying, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog makes amazing single player games. Maybe they need the advice to make a good multiplayer game. And if Naughty Dog were to make a trend following multiplayer game, it's probably going to be good because it's Naughty Dog. But is it going to last as long as Destiny? That's obviously, we only know until it comes out, but it's not a surefire thing. Just because Destiny worked that way doesn't mean that Naughty Dog's game is going to work that way. And I agree with Gage. I wish they would show us a little bit more what they're working on. Like, maybe not even show us, just like tell us, like, these are the systems that we have in place. This is what we're thinking right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
And go from there, especially with it being so early on in May as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's almost exactly what Gage said as well, where like you both are saying the same thing. Like, they need to be more transparent and do something like what Dr. Disrespect is doing with his game. Of course, I'm not really as fond of their game of their game or Dr. Disrespect, but that's a whole other issue. I think my issue with their game is the NFT bullshit that they're very much pushing in that game. But yeah, that's totally right. Like, if they were way more transparent and said, like, hey, we've got this, and this planned, and that's what we're thinking, but we'd love to hear your input and think about what you guys would like to see. And like, if they did stuff like that, I think fans would receive that very well, and you'd get the input you need to make a better experience. And to be clear, also, like, maybe Bungie's not saying that. Maybe Bungie didn't say that. That was just one idea that I thought possibly could have happened. It's
right.
We're just speculating, but it would be interesting if somebody got a scoop on that to figure out what actually occurred between Bungie and Naughty Dog during that process. But
I think I did remember seeing a headline. Like, I don't know if it was just a rumor or something like that, but I think that was something that was put forward by some article, is that the Bungie was concerned about the monetization and or not specifically monetization, but the live service elements of it, which I mean, the big part of live service is monetization. So I think people have just kind of drawn that comparison. I don't know if that's actually true.
Right.
And I would just like to point out too that, like, saying it can sound selfish, like that it's all about us as the consumer when we say there should be transparency, there should be more communication. But I really think in a situation like this, it could have also just helped them save the game, right?
Yeah.
If they had brought forward these ideas, let's say, for example, the ideas that Bungie were against, if they like Rose saying, not even showing a gameplay, not even a vertical slice, but just like a Q&A, devlog, whatever, talk about it. And if the community overwhelmingly responded positively to that, that could have given them leverage to push back and be like, listen, we'll take some consideration from what you guys are saying. Because obviously, like, this is the thing. Bungie isn't necessarily the bad guy here, but Sony did spend a lot of money on Bungie, so Sony sent Bungie to the studio. We bought Bungie for a reason. They're coming to check on your game, take their advice, like however that happened behind closed doors. We know something to that effect must have happened. You don't spend billions of dollars on a company to not use them. But if they had done some sort of devlog and explain to people what the game was, and people responded positively to that, that could have given them like the support and the leverage they needed to say, like, listen, all right, we'll take some of what you're saying under consideration, but just so you know, our core fan base, the people that we're making this game for, they really like what we're making. And I feel like, in certain situations, like, communication and transparency is a win-win. It's not just about me, Gage, wanting to know what you're making for my own person. Like, I feel like it could have helped them push back against Bungie if that is the situation that happened behind closed doors. And I mean, like, I went deep into this rabbit hole trying to find out as much information about this game as I could. There's obviously not a lot out there. A lot of the rumors within the community was that it was going to be a really small scale extraction shooter, which is maybe what Bungie was not confident in. Like, so the biggest piece of evidence for that was, like, looking at all the concept art they did. It was always survivors in pairs. So the theory amongst fans was that it was going to be like, imagine you're loading into a DMZ match, but like max squad size is only 2. And maybe because of the fidelity they're trying to hit, there's only 8 players total in them. Like, that was kind of the working theory amongst fans as to what this game was going to be. And maybe that has something to do with, like, longevity. Like, hey, if there's not that many players in a match, people aren't going to be as jealous about new skins because XYZ, and like, you're not going to have a lobby full of people to look at all these things to buy. Like, So you can kind of draw a through line there and kind of come up with your own speculation as to what was going on. But again, all of this could have been the waters could have been very demuddied if they had just come out and said like, "Hey, this is what we're working on. This is what our idea is."
To your point as well, like it could have also meant that the game's not as accessible, so you're not putting it out to that broader audience.
Right.
So they could have looked at that and said, "Man, you're not going to get a big audience from this. This is going to be a very niche audience that you're hitting," which is very much the same as what the factions mode was. Yeah. So like, I think people may have been, if that is the case, people that loved factions may have loved this because it's exactly like what they wanted to go for with factions as well. And like, yeah, that's the question of like profitability versus like creativity. And it's like,
exactly right. Business getting in the way of art is what we talk about all the time on this show. And so I can't help but feel I've got this sinking suspicion in my gut that is the problem behind the scenes. This game looks great, sure, but how much money is it going to make and how XYZ? And it's like, well, does that really matter at the end of the day? Like, I mean, Last of Us Part 2, Last of Us Part 1, these are single player games with finite amount of experience in them, and yet they're still world renowned. And like we said, Last of Us Faction is sure it's not topping Twitch charts or anything like that, but it's still played to this day.
Yeah.
So like obviously they did something right, and so that's why I can't help but feel like maybe Jim Ryan's big push for this is causing a lot of strife behind the scenes, where Naughty Dog is maybe they are cooking up something great, but you know the head chef keeps walking in and saying, "No, change this, change that. This isn't going to work." And now Ro's right. Now there's smoke bellowing out of the kitchen. We don't know what the fuck's going on. People are screaming.
It's all burnt.
Right. It's fucking raw.
Man, yeah. It's a shame.
It's such a shame,
exciting.
dude.
And it's like I know the industry has changed and everybody is trying to make as much money as possible, but like the fact that multiplayer games that, like you were saying, with even factions, as we talked about, but people are still playing Halo. People are still like the old Halo, I mean. And there's like people are still playing Splatoon 1. That was a huge thing that people were talking about today with the Wii U closing down next year. People being upset that, oh, I can't play this awesome multiplayer game that I've been playing for years. Obviously, no monetization in Splatoon 1. But if they did, I'm sure people who are still playing that game would be happy to just keep buying skins from the shop that's there. Like, there's just so many ways that a multiplayer game can be successful besides this box that we seem to be trying to put every single multiplayer game in, and they could all survive in different ways. And I don't know why you would want to be in that box anyway, because it's so suffocating, because all the games are like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird that you're striving for that, because so many other games are failing when you could just be unique and do something that you're good at doing, or do something different. It's weird. It's weird.
Right.
But I get it. I know why, because the people who are making it are making the decisions. It's the people who want to make the money that are.
Right. And just to point out, every game that we've listed as an example, Fortnite, Destiny, Halo, and like we haven't mentioned this yet, but Call of Duty, there is currently really only one live service model. All those games use the exact same live service model, right? You've got your rotating store, you've got your battle pass, and then you've got your events that pop up that are limited time. Like, there really truly is one style of live service that really is kind of like, you said it perfectly, but getting put in a box. And I can totally see Bungie approaching Naughty Dog and saying, listen, this weird small scale, really sort of like immersive experience you're going for doesn't fit into the scale. And it's like, well, then why? Like, okay, so then maybe that's not the right box to put this in then, right? Like, that would be the logical conclusion. But if you're somebody like Jim Ryan, who doesn't give a shit about video games, and you just spent a bunch of money that you want to make that money back, then you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I don't care, you make it fit in the box. And then we lead to situations like this.
Yeah. Bro, I was going to respond to what you said as well. You made great points about, the monetization stuff and how it's all integrated and tied together and everything. And like the Master Chief Collection is a great example. I know I always go back to Halo, but the Master Chief Collection is a great example of this, because 343 had talked about like a year ago maybe adding an option to pay for the little coins that you get for leveling up in the Master Chief Collection in order to purchase the rewards that they added. So there's like 10 pages of rewards or something like that, and you could they were talking about adding purchasing for that to be able to continue to support the Master Chief Collection further than their plans had already accommodated for. Well, the fans reacted negatively to that because they said, no, we want it to continue to be a progression system that people unlock it as they progress, and it kind of shows like that you're dedicated to playing the game instead of dedicated to putting dollars in the basket, which is a fair point. I can see in that particular instance, I could see both sides because, I would have loved to seen, and obviously they're still updating Master Chief Collection, but it takes a lot longer now. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But I would have loved to seen more money into the Master Chief Collection to see what like further things they could have done with it. But I also understand fans not wanting that. So there's a lot of complexities that go along with that as well. I just want to circle back to one thing you said a long time ago now, Gage, at the start of this conversation, that you made about working outside of your comfort zone. And I think that was a great lead in to this other point that I put in here, which Ryan McCaffrey actually posted about, and said, yes, Naughty Dog is a top 5 developer in the world, but the history of big devs who try to pivot to multiplayer only has some major cautionary tales. Lionhead tried to make a 4v1 game in Fable Legends, and it sunk the studio. Arcane Austin tried to make a 4-player co-op, and it flopped. You also have Suicide Squad from Rocksteady, which we know how that story continues to unfold, and doesn't really look optimistic for that game. We saw what BioWare did with Anthem after they made historically fantastic single-player games. Now, do I think that necessarily will translate to Naughty Dog? Maybe not, but it is an interesting conversation to have because like all these studios that were historically like fantastic single-player studios had all of a sudden pivoted to a multiplayer project, and it just destroyed the studio essentially.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting point, like in terms of the studio's culture and like what they actually are at that heart. And if Naughty Dog is not doing what they wanted originally and are, taking this input from Bungie to make it into something that Bungie would do, I don't necessarily know that that's keeping the heart of Naughty Dog in this game. And I don't know.
And well, that's a great point to bring up because you got to before all this Bungie, you got to think like, and that's part of the reason why I've been criticizing the lack of communication or anything is it's just how long this project has been in development. Because you got to remember, long before the idea of Bungie being bought by PlayStation was a thought in anyone's head, which by the way went right up until it was announced because nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
It was Naughty Dog themselves that decided this game needs to be more than just a mode. It needs to be its own experience. And like it seemed like they had a lot of steam and a lot of passion for what this was. And again, you could argue that the lack of communication from the get-go maybe was either suspicious or XYZ, but like it seems like as soon as Bungie got involved, like that's when things started going downhill. And again, I don't think it's people at Bungie wanting to come over and shit on somebody else's project. I really don't think that creatives kind of work that way at all. I think it's more so that it's Jim Ryan thinking, okay, I've spent all this money on this one company that excels at this one specific style of live service and multiplayer, and I need them to go over to this team that's working on one of the biggest IPs that we own, making it into a multiplayer live service game, and give them pointers or help, and then we end up in the situation where we are now. So yeah, it's super unfortunate, and it seems like Naughty Dog did at one point have the passion and the steam for this project. And to me, if I were a betting man, I would say that it's outside influence within Sony that is kind of causing this game strife. And like we said before, like if they were left alone to their own devices, would this be another Fortnite? Probably not. but would it be a game that stands the test of time, that has its niche following and does what it does extremely well? I mean, that's what Naughty Dog does with all of its other games. Like, Uncharted is not a GTA clone. You can't do whatever you want in those games. Those are very linear games, but they do what they do extremely well, which is storytelling, its scale, its vistas, its environment. Same with The Last of Us. The Last of Us does all of its core gameplay elements really well, and it does nothing else. So did they have a similar idea for this multiplayer game? And then suddenly now you have, well, what about this audience? What about this demographic? What about this? What about that? I don't know.
Yeah, lots of questions to ponder, and man, I
fear we will not get any answers. I think in 6 months' time, unfortunately, we'll get the announcement that this game is canceled, and we will never know until there's a really good expose by Jason Schreier or somebody like that.
God, can you imagine? That would be so sad. That'd be so sad. But you're right. That's like totally possible. That could absolutely happen. It's not out of the question. But
Right.
how sad would that be?
Oh my god!
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Fuck. Thanks for putting that in my head, bro.
No, it's Gage.
That's true.
No, bro.
You just made it more. You made it more depressing, though.
I'm sorry. I added on to it.
Yeah. That sucks. And the other thing is, like, how long is it going to be till the next Naughty Dog game? So, like, that's even more depressing. It's like, fuck.
Right.
Man. Especially if it's Last of Us Part 3 when I boot it up and I'm looking for a specific character that I want to be in there. And
Last of Us 2 was just a dream, Dan.
Was it? That's fucking... Let's go. Let's go.
In Part 3, Ellie wakes up at 13 again, and she's like, huh.
Hell yes. I would be down
for
that.
It's just a camping simulator. It's just Joel and Ellie camping simulator.
Dude, I would be fucking down if that was a whole dream. Last of Us Part...
Like, speaking of comfort zones that I would never like to leave.
I would be praising Neil and saying, fuck yes, Neil. I love it. You fucking...
Bold, brave, amazing choice.
It would change my mind completely on The Last of Us Part 2. I would say it's the best game I've ever played. Because it's not, because I know it's not real. Yeah.
It's not canon.
Yeah. Incredible. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we close out the show here?
I want to throw a wild curveball.
Oh, here we go.
Only because I happen to correctly guess, in a sense, the plot of Last of Us Part 2. Straight from gut feeling. And I'm not gonna say what happens in The Last of Us Part 2, just in case there's some crazy person that hasn't played it. But anyways, from that first cinematic trailer, I had a gut feeling, and I was like 85% right. So I was talking to a friend of the show, Guillermo, and we were talking at work the other day about The Last of Us Part 3, which I think is almost certainly in development. I think that's their next project. I want to take a guess right now on camera as to what the plot line is. Okay. I can feel it inside, that same feeling I got with Last of Us Part 2. You ready?
Here we go.
I guess it's not spoilers, but it kind of is. This is tough.
Turn it off. Not really. All right, turn it off right now if you don't want any spoilers for The Last of Us.
Even if you are that crazy person.
If you are that
crazy person that hasn't played it, I'm not going to spoil Last of Us Part 2. I'm just going to mention characters that are in Part 2 and therefore will have to make it through Part 2. So kind of spoilers, kind of not. But anyways, I think that The Last of Us Part 3 is going to start with Abby finding the Firefly group that she was looking for at the very end of the second game. In that little segment you play as her towards the very end. Finding a group of Fireflies that has restarted the search for the cure. The first half of The Last of Us Part 3 is going to be you playing as Abby and Lev trekking down where Ellie is. And the second half of that game is going to be a very awkward but very poignant buddy cop journey of Abby and Ellie going back, traveling together to the Fireflies, and Ellie finally gets to make her choice as to what she wants to do.
I love it.
I feel it with such certainty, and I have to say it now on camera because I never said it for The Last of Us Part 2. I said it privately in a chat, but this is what I feel in my heart, and I would be so happy with that. I would be so happy with that. That second half of that game would be great. There'd be so many good conversations and character moments between those two. I think that would be great. I'm gonna put it out there. That's what my guess is. It's my bet.
That's actually a good. That's a good guess, and like I think I would like that as well. Like I'm purging my animosity towards the events of part 2 and everything that I didn't like about that. I'm purging it, starting myself fresh for part 3, so that I can level myself to enjoy what we have. And I know you mentioned, Gage, that it's about me being comfortable with the loss of someone, but I still argue that I don't think it was the right way to do it, but that's a whole other conversation. Yet again, I keep pulling us into different conversations.
It'd be so cool. I would love that, Gage. Like just seeing Ellie and Abby, like slowly going across the country to get back to the Fireflies, but them like slowly, hopefully becoming friends over the course of the time. By the time they get there, Abby actually being sad that Ellie may choose to become the cure or whatever. Like that sounds
not even
great.
becoming friends, but just understanding each other and like where they came from. Could you imagine that you're Ellie and you're off by yourself doing whatever, and halfway through the game it's Abby that shows up and is like, hey, by the way, that thing that you always wanted to do, that you always felt you needed to do, I'm the person that's going to take you back. And I don't know. I have a feeling that's where it's going. I would love that. I think that would be a great way to tie it all together. Because like I can't help but feel that if they do The Last of Us Part 3 and they're adding new characters, that there's something missed. Because as much like I agree with Dan that like what happened in the second game was uncomfortable. I'm not saying it wasn't. I just think I don't know. I have faith that it's part of a bigger story, and like I think that this is the way that you tie that. This is the way that you tie that ribbon to make everything count, to make everything matter, and to have these characters actually understand and go through something. Because if the third game you just play as Ellie and you meet new people and then you just do the same thing over again, then what? Like I don't know. I hope that they've got something bigger than that cooking.
Very interesting.
Amen.
Could happen. Stay tuned to find out if Gage's prediction is right. We'll never remember.
Stay tuned. You'll come check in on episode 448 to see if.
God, I'll honestly be mad if it isn't that.
Yeah. Right? It's true. Somebody check into episode 211 when Last of Us Part 3 comes out. All right, guys. Let us close out the show. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Gage. Thank you, Christian. We hope that everything goes better for you. We love you. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Adios.
Somebody do a moan for Christian.
We got the sound effect, you kid.
Oh, that's right.
There you go.